Hi, I'm Jordan Martin from Rebreak News. Jenny Jones from the Green Party stated she wants to create a curfew for men after 6 p.m. We want to know your opinion and we're asking the people of Dundee. How can men help prevent sexual harassment?
I think by standing up to it when they see it happen, or when their friends make a joke about it, be that's not funny, and just go out of their way to make girls feel a bit more safe. And I do have a lot of friends that do that, and I really do feel safer in them, and that's really nice, I'd say.
Yeah, just acknowledging that a comment made by their friends is wrong, not just sitting back and laughing when someone makes something inappropriate because they're joining in on it as well.
Within men, men holding other men to account, I think that's probably the best way. I think that if if your pal or something like that, or just your other man, if you have a word with him like that, that's probably the best way. I think men will probably listen to other men more effectively. It sounds a bit I don't know, that's a bit generalistic, but as soon as you start to hold other men to account, that's probably the most effective way, I would say. Don't know if you've got any other.
I agree.
I think it's just about sort of educating the wider public about what we can do to stop it, and it's a difficult question to answer. I don't really know what we can do. I wish I had all the answers, but I don't think anyone does. I think it's just about respect, respecting women, respecting the people that you're around at all times, I suppose. That is the fundamental thing. That's the only thing that I could say just now.
I think it's important that men sort of understand the role they play in the fear that women have of being alone or being alone at night, and making sure that they're calling out their friends on inappropriate behaviour, and making sure that they're doing their bit to sort of put themselves in other people's shoes and think how they would feel if they were being followed at night, or if they were alone at night, and just sort of being more aware of the presence they have and how it can create fear in other people.
It starts with family life. If you're 15, 16, you start that attitude when you're 1 and 2, and that comes from what you see in the house. So I think so parents it's incumbent on them to make sure that their kids are brought up the right way. So when they become adults, they behave the right way and then pass that message on to their kids. So to me, it starts off, as Greg said, men holding men accountable, but families holding themselves accountable as well.
But friends as well, because I know if I'm not, kids might see it as a thing just my parents are being grumpy or whatever. But if your mates maybe says it to you, you're okay, if that's my mates giving me a bit of a lecture, I'm obviously being a bit dick here. But so it is a bit of both. Yeah,
certainly a bit of both. Yeah. But I think it's men taking responsibility for their own actions in the main. Yeah.
Jenny Jones from the Green Party saying she wants to create a curfew for men after 6 o'clock after what happened to Sarah Everard. What's your opinion on that?
I don't know if I think that's necessary. I think it should be more about educating guys on how to prevent sexual harassment and how to stand up to it and how to say no to it. I don't think we need to impose a curfew. I think it should more be about education about just not doing it. We don't need to put the boys away.
Yeah, I completely agree, because I don't think it's fair to lock up half the population just because there are some bad people out there. There's bad girls out there too. So I think just educate them and don't lock them away. That'll just make people rebel as well. So
I'm not 6 p.m. Yeah, I've heard about this as well. I don't think the reaction to it. Was that the Welsh MP? Yeah, I think I heard about this. I don't think it was the reaction to it. I think men feel it's not all men. I don't think it is actually something that is going to be realistically implemented. I don't think, first of all, you would get away with it anyway. I don't think it would ever be enforced, but I don't think it is the way forward. I think obviously the incident that happened is tragic, but the nature of social media and how divisive everything is nowadays, it's just going to cause more problems than it solves. I think it's too divisive. 6 p.m. is actually really quite early as well, but I think what we were saying there about just holding other men to account, that's the way forward. If you're trying to I don't want to say be forceful in that, but there's going to be pushback against that, and it's just going to become more hostile.
I'm not sure that was meant in a literal way. I think that was more sort of, if you can tell women not, because there wasn't a counsellor down in England that said that the women that they shouldn't go out if they felt unsafe. It wouldn't be acceptable, as you've seen in the news and stuff, for a man to be asked to have their curfew at 6 p.m. So why should it be okay and acceptable for a woman just to be told, well, if you don't feel safe, don't go out? So I don't think it was meant in a sense that was, okay, you need to be home by 6 p.m. It was meant why are we living in a society where it's acceptable for women to be asked that and the same men not to be accepted? So I think that was more the point than anything else.
Personally, I don't think that's the solution to this problem. I think there's far better and more effective things that could be done than sticking a curfew on men after 6 o'clock. And I think it also just fuels to the point that women should fear men in the evening after 6. Doesn't solve anything, and I think it adds fuel to the fire of that fear, like within the community in the evenings and stuff like that. So I personally don't think it's the right solution.
No.
Yeah.
I think it could be a negative thing because I think you can build up resentment. You know, any kind of curfew, whether it's 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock, to me, it's going to bring resentment, and then you're flipping the whole thing, in a negative way rather than a positive way. You should be talking about how to educate men, to behave, rather than try and lock them down, in almost like a prison-like state. It's just completely wrong. And I think it was an overreaction by her. I think if she actually sat down and thought about it, she would realise what she was proposing was unworkable, untenable, and half the population would push back against it. It's just.
I think if you make it more like self-sufficient, like what we're saying through education and stuff, because you shouldn't need a curfew to keep women safe. Like that's like, it is obviously, what happened to Sarah was horrible, and I think it is. Like walking the streets at night on your own is a much unsafer environment for women. So, to put a curfew in place to protect women, it's horrible that we even need that. So if you can do it through more like self-sufficient means, like education and stuff, I think it's better all around, and it's more effective. It's more efficient as well, isn't it? Yeah. So.
I think her point was perhaps more made as a joke, but I think it's definitely an interesting point in that it shouldn't be the women that are the ones that are changing. It should be the men that are changing their behaviour to make the women feel more safe. It shouldn't be women that are having to stay home. It should be the men. I think it is more of a joke point that she's making, but I think it does have some truth to it in a way.
Well, thank you very much for today, and I appreciate it. And that's just a few of the opinions of people from Dundee. We would like to know your opinion, so please share, like and comment.